Okay, so welcome, hello, and good afternoon. My name's Lisa Barnwell, and I wanted to share with you today some insights into how to change pregnancy in the workplace from being a problem to an advantage. And I know from my experience as a maternity consultant, from being a therapist working with women during pregnancy for the last 10 years, I've spent a lot of time listening to my clients and listening to what are their frustrations, what are their fears, and what are the problems that they encounter in their workplace, and how they are perceived as a problem, or they perceive their pregnancy as a problem. And I would like to share some insights to help you if you are in HR, if you're a head of diversity, or if you're a small company with a workforce that includes women, and you want to just have a little bit more of an understanding of actually these simple insights into how women feel and what can be the difference between perceiving pregnancy as a problem and perceiving pregnancy as an advantage. So I'm just going to take around 15 minutes to share with you three simple pieces of information that I think could be really key for you in unlocking and changing how pregnancy is perceived for you and how it's received in the workplace. So to start off, when women become pregnant, it's something that they've usually thought of. It's something they usually have a deep desire for. And my experience is that women in pregnancy fall in love. They fall in love with their baby, their unborn baby. When their baby arrives, they're in love with their newborn. And there's a huge amount of passion that is created during that time. And what I find is if passion is not in their workplace, passion is not in their role, then it becomes a real conflict of interest, and the love for their baby becomes much greater than the love for their work. So what I feel and what I've seen in talk to a lot of my clients about is that when they actually have a huge passion for what they're doing, when they've actually identified what really connects for them and what really matters to them as much as their skill set, they can have a completely different experience in the workplace. So for me, if you've read the book or seen the TED Talk by Simon Sinek, Start With Why, that is a really key point of starting to really look at when you're employing your workforce, to start with what your big why is as a company and an organization, and what their why is. What are their passions? What are their drivers? Because when you hire somebody on their skill set and you're not aligned in your feelings and your passions, when you add a new passion, i.e. the baby, into the mix, that's often when things break down. So for me, the issue of returnship starts way before somebody's even conceived, somebody's even got pregnant. It starts right at the beginning when they join your company and the time leading up to them becoming pregnant. And it's very much about their passion for their role. And it's quite difficult to maintain a level of passion for something that we're doing every day. There are so many things vying for our attention, so many things going on in the world today. But actually, when your feelings are aligned, when you've actually connected in with what you're meant to be doing, as opposed to just doing some work that pays the bills and uses your skill set to its best advantage, that level of passion can be there. And I know from reading The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, he talks very much about us working in our zone of genius as opposed to our zone of excellence. And when you have employees who are working in their zone of genius with you and really working from the heart, and you're working from the heart, that is a far stronger alignment, a far stronger connection. And so what I have found is that when I talk to women entrepreneurs who set up their own business, that they're incredibly passionate about, that they're completely connected with, that they're totally on board with its success. When they have a baby, it actually strengthens their commitment to work. It actually makes them want to be more mindful about their work and what they're doing and managing their time more effectively. But their passion doesn't diminish. Their passion actually grows, because what they're doing in their work is actually an extension of themselves, and it's actually for their children a lot of the time. Suddenly they see the world in a much bigger way, and they're very, very focused on contributing and being part of a bigger community. And their work is all about expressing themselves. So they find as they become a mother and as they become more confident, more empowered in themselves and more focused on making the world a better place, their passion for their work grows. And that's really, as a company, as an employer, what you want to have with your women that you're bringing in. So you want them to be so connected, so aligned with what's going on, and ensuring that there is that absolute integrity and that absolute connection. And with your teams, I think it's incredibly important to ensure that there's a mutual respect, that it's seen that pregnancy actually enhances somebody's mindset, somebody's skill set. And actually, although it's an inconvenience to a degree, having somebody needing to take time out of the office to go away and have a baby, it would be much better if they were able to, pop a baby out in a second and be back. The reality is that growth period, that time of expansion, of nurturing a baby and then becoming a mother, is incredibly valuable. And having worked with so many women during that transition period and seen the huge blossoming, the huge strength of development that they have when they become a mum, those are huge skill sets that you can embrace in your company. So rather than perceiving it as a nuisance or something to be worked around and something that's difficult, which I know in this PC world we're not supposed to say that's how it is, but the reality is it's tricky when you're managing a business and then you've got your workforce, not all at work. But if you're able to actually embrace it in a much bigger way and see it, that what's happening is these women are really investing in their skill set, they're really investing in their growth, and that growth can actually benefit your company long term, it then becomes a different perspective. And that can be something that I find CEOs can see and overall people can see, but actually the day-to-day managers and day-to-day colleagues find that much more difficult because they're much more caught in the detail, they're much more caught in what we've got to achieve this week, this month, this year. And so they're much more looking at the smaller day-to-day details. So what you need to do is bring in that bigger picture mentality and bring in that overall understanding that this is of huge benefit. And when it's seen in that light, when women feel that they're also seen in that light, they really shine and their brilliance comes through. And something I see is women actually feeling more diminished when they have babies. They feel scared to come forward and say that they're having a baby. They feel that that's going to have them perceived in a light of not being committed to their career. There's all sorts of different things going on, whether it's reality or perception. But for me, once we start to embrace pregnancy and overall see it as such a huge advantage, as such a huge period of growth and transition, we can look at it in a different way. So for me, connecting and creating that understanding in the beginning, aligning your recruitment strategies with somebody's real emotional goals can actually help that whole process when they go to have children so much easier and so much smoother. Secondly, something I notice is that women have a harder time seeing themselves managing their work with their children and envisaging a place where it can all come together, where all their deepest desires can come together. And there was a Harvard study in 2009 that said that although women make great leaders and are very good at many, many skills in leadership, being able to envisage and envision a bigger future, a bigger picture, was something that women struggle to do. So we tend to look to men to see a much bigger picture. But actually for me, in studying the pregnancy mind and looking at the pregnancy brain, what I have noticed is that women have a great deal of innate ability to envisage, to have our insights coming through, and to be able to see a much bigger picture when we allow ourselves to. And so for women who are feeling very grounded, who are feeling very strong, they can often see a bigger future. And companies who have developed inspiring women, mentors, women who are showing how it can be done, I think are having much greater success. I know Lloyds, who have set themselves the benchmark of having 40% of their women on their board by 2020, have something called Footprints in the Snow. And for me, talking to companies at the moment, I'm very much urging them to have some sort of program where there's a great deal of inspiration for women coming through into the company, and women wanting to start on the pregnancy journey, and showing them actually how things can be on the other side. Because I talk to a lot of women who say they just cannot see how it's going to work afterwards. And when I talk to them when they're at home with their babies, with their newborns, and they're looking at the time when they've got to go back and negotiate and discuss with their employers how it's going to work, they have a perceived limiting belief, they have a perceived mental barrier that it's not going to work on some level. That's something that I see time and time again. And so I think for companies to start a dialogue far earlier, not to have that conversation when the women have had their babies and said, okay, how do you feel now? But to actually start that dialogue far earlier, before they've gone off on pregnancy, and suggest ways that things can possibly work, to plant those seeds of positivity and plant those ideas of possibility. For me, that's something to really, really work on, because I think for a lot of companies, they do have a willingness to create flexibility and to create new ways of bringing their women back. But if it's not visible, if it's not really widely known, and if it's not widely shared, and it's not clearly communicated, then it might not as well be there. And I know so many women who feel so fearful when they're about to start the conversation of returning back to work. And for me, that fear is there for a reason. It's there because they've seen other people not have positive conversations. They've seen people ask for flexibility and not get it. They've seen people you know, have issues going back to work and feeling guilty about not being at home with their babies. So they're seeing all the negatives, and that's obviously putting them on the back foot. So for me, having a lot of positive affirmations, a lot of positive not affirmations, but positive experiences that women can draw on, that women can really connect with, and really start to believe that actually my company really wants me back. My company really values me. My company values the insights that I'm going to bring as a mother, and the expertise I'm going to bring from having this transition out and coming back in even stronger, even more competent, even more capable. My company sees that, my company values that, and they so want me back, and they're going to do everything they can to make that a reality, and we both want to make that a reality. Then those dialogues become much more open, much more honest, and much more effective, much more successful. So for me, giving that period of inspiration, that very tangible way that women can see the future and how it can work for them, I think is another key step into improving your returnship and making pregnancy positive. My third key point is to embrace authenticity, embrace women being women. So encouraging women to value their gifts, value the fact that they are the ones to have the babies, and value the insights that they get from that time, and bringing them their whole selves to work. So many women I speak to have this issue of hiding almost the fact that they've got children. They don't want to be seen as a mother first. They want to be seen as a businesswoman, and then the fact that they may or may not have children is kind of an aside. And I feel very sad about that. I see a lot of articles. There was a recent one, I think, with somebody appointed in the BBC, who it was, you know, highlighted that she was a mother as well as a businesswoman, and there was quite a lot of uproar almost that, you know, we don't say that about men. We don't say a new CEO has been appointed and he happens to be a father as well. But for me, I see that rather than focusing on we're not doing it for men and it should be irrelevant whether a woman has children or not, I see that we should be actually embracing parenthood, male and female, and actually allowing women to really bring their whole self into the office. Because when you are a parent, things change for you. You're not just looking at things as one dimensional. You're not just able to focus purely on your career. You have other things that you need to take into consideration. You have other things going on in your life. But actually that can be of benefit to a company. You're bringing a far more balanced perspective into the workplace. You're bringing a far more authentic person and a far more committed person. Usually I see the women that are going back to work after having babies are so committed to what they're doing because they're making a conscious choice. Some of it is financially driven, but a lot of it is emotionally driven. And they're coming back to work when they really feel emotionally connected to what they're doing and they feel that they're valued. And that's not just in a monetary sense, that's in very much a physical sense. So for me, embracing the authenticity of your women, embracing authenticity in general. You know, I've written a recent blog article, honesty is the best maternity policy, and why are we so scared to be honest? And I feel that we do hold back from our feelings and connecting in with our feelings. We want to be all very much about our mindset and our heads and all our intelligence. But actually what's going on in our body, what we're feeling, is incredibly powerful. And when you're feeling very grounded, you're feeling very strong, you're feeling very empowered, very valued, very believed in, and you have that feeling in yourself, which often motherhood will give a woman, you can actually take that forward in a wonderful way. But if you're in an experience where that's not being recognized, where that's not being embraced and it's not being welcomed, then it can feel very hard. You know, we connect, we feed off other people, and you can be a very confident and strong person in yourself, but if you go into an environment where it's very negative, where you're perceived in a very demeaning or shallow way, then it can feel very hard to you. So for me, it's about saying to workplaces, embrace that honesty, embrace that authenticity, and embrace the feelings, because when women are pregnant, they become much more in touch with their feelings. And I've worked with a lot of women in finance, in banking, in law, who have skill sets that are very much focused on their intelligence, very much focused on keeping their feelings hidden and suppressed, and working very much with you know, the logical side of their brain, and that becomes impossible for them to do once they become aware of creating a life and giving birth to a child. You know, their feelings now come to the fore. They have things that really matter to them and really connect in to their sense of self. So if you have that connection with your women, if you embrace that side and you allow your women to be women, you get the best of everything. They've still got that smart mindset. They still have all their logic, all their intelligence, all the things that they bring to the party normally, but they're also bringing emotions. And that can be helpful for the men in the workplace as well, for us to be more open, more authentic. When we're coming from a place of really deep feeling and really honest authenticity, life becomes so much easier when we're not trying to hide behind another you know, layer of who you are. So those are my three simple steps really, which I hope can be helpful for you. If you'd like to discuss with me more how pregnancy in your workplace can become more of an advantage than a problem, I've got so many ideas and insights that I can share with you, and I've helped many companies in change management in their maternity policies, and I would really love to talk to you. So I hope that's been helpful for you today, and thanks for your time and for listening.